classroom furniture, but the bigger conversation is how do we engage students 24/7? And that's really the flexibility of time. And then the last, if you look at the logo of the Future Ready, is that in the middle is about really the student. It's that the little yellow dot that I can't see from here, but we know it's students are at the center. And then you have the gears around the student, again, working collaboratively. And the last ring is collaborative leadership. This isn't an initiative on one person. We have gear leaders that are made up of teachers, administrators. We ask for some community support. But leadership is more than one person. And so these gears are supported by collaborative leadership so that we can foster a vision. We can engage the community. We can go back and have those conversations on what are the 4 essential questions? How do we want to transform schools? I see your role as school committee members part of our collaborative leadership team. Over the last few years, we have recommended and you have supported a number of policies that actually support this vision and the gears moving forward about the students. So I want to thank you for your support. And in closing, I just want to kind of go back and reiterate that we did not talk too much about really technology tonight or a device. We really talked about how do we see teaching and learning in the classroom and how can technology in the infrastructure accelerate personalization for students and teachers in the classroom as we move forward, and how are we prepared to be a nimble, flexible district to meet the ever-changing needs of our students, teachers, and the community as we move forward. So through this system, we are being really purposeful with our steps going forward. It's a long-term plan, but also embedded in one of the gears is action research and looking at our academic return on investment. So we are taking a purposeful look at what's working, what's not working, and if it's not working, stop investing in that area and reinvest it into something that is working. So we've been working with a number of teachers and administrators on that action research and really documenting that process. That has probably been the biggest catalyst for change, is just celebrating the successes of what teachers are doing in the classroom on a day in and day out basis. And those little successes actually grow into greater celebrations. So it's been really pivotal, and we've been able to memorialize that process. This link isn't live, but if you go to the Bristol Warren District webpage and you go to the Future Ready link, you can go underneath that and you'll end up at this page, but you can see the Future Ready implementation timeline, and it'll take us over the last couple of years of all the work that we've done. And every time I look at it, I say, oh my goodness, we've accomplished a lot in the last 12 months. And it's really, really exciting. And again, I want to thank you for your support, all of our administrators for carrying out the vision, having really the systems approach to it, and also for our teachers and our students. Without them, we could not move as far as we did this quickly. So it's really positive. Any questions?
Okay, let's go there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of questions, please. On the collaboration thing, are you talking teacher-to-teacher collaboration or collaboration with the students in the classroom?
All the above. We have teachers, again, where we have the welcome sign, the pineapple. So we have teachers collaborating teacher to teacher through our DLTs. They're sharing that research and their action, their theory of action, and sharing out the results of their action research projects. So they're collaborating amongst each other. But also if you go into the classroom, you'll see students collaborating and sharing their work as well. So it's happening at all levels.
Do you find with the student collaboration, there's always the thing you make good group together, you always get the alpha figure shows up, you know, and then the sleeper is there, you know, how do you stay on top of that?
Is that, no, I mean, it happens, but I think what's really important is that we have a lot of teachers that actually define their roles and responsibilities of group work. You have to explicitly teach how to work in a group. So we have a lot of teachers explaining that. But I think more importantly, when the teachers or the students are actually working or looking at a piece of work together, I'm going to tie it into our assessment literacy work. Our teachers are being really clear on what are the learning targets, and then what are the students talking about. So they're providing students with models of strong and weak work, so they know what good looks like, so that they're able to provide that descriptive feedback. So it's actually when the students know that learning target, they know what good looks like, and they know what bad looks like, their conversations in their small groups are actually more focused as opposed to, you know, we'll wait for Mr. Odell to do all the work and he'll report out. So it's actually been really powerful, and then through, I'll just use 6th grade, because they're in Google Classroom, the teacher's able to see which each student is actually contributing as well. So a lot more focus once we go through students knowing the learning targets and they have models of strong and weak work.
Next, I have trouble understanding the nebulous. I'm going to throw back to these things. Critical thinking and problem solving. Sometimes I look at that, it can be critical thinking, new line problem solving, because one may not necessarily involve the other. I mean, you know, if I want to score a touchdown and there's 4 people in front of me and I'm the grunk, you know, I know how to solve that problem, but I'm engaging critical thinking. You know, that may not be happening. And then the other thing on the critical thinking, I don't know what areas you're talking about. Just as I'm trying to think of an example on the top of my head. Okay, the origin of the universe, for example. Okay, you got the Big Bang. Then somebody comes along with quantum physics, and they say, no, you need 2 bangs, you need 2 universes to explain quantum physics. Then a mathematician came along several years ago and said, okay, well, according to my math, you have to have 7. And someone else came along and said, no, the Big Bang is perpetual. It's always happening. And it is wonderful thinking. I'm not really solving any problems. I'm not thinking about it. So I'm having trouble grasping what are you talking about? Because when you're talking about exactly what kind of critical thinking are you looking for, and what kind of problem solving are you looking for? Is there a connection between the two?
That's a great question, and I'm trying to answer it with it's not a day-long seminar. I think there's many books written on each of those and what it is and what it isn't. So, I mean, just for tonight's purposes, I'll kind of keep it short. I mean, so when we look at critical thinking, students analyzing, critiquing, synthesizing information, applying their knowledge in new ways. So we don't want the regurgitation, so we look at Webb's depth of knowledge. Level 1 just being regurgitation or basic recall, and level 4 being synthesizing information. So we're looking for, when we say critical thinking or problem solving, it's more on level 4 than a basic regurgitation of information. So, but I can, you know, on another night when we want to get into it and I can give you some research on it, I'll be more than happy to dive into problem solving, critical thinking, and probably have some students come in to, you know, demonstrate what we mean by critical thinking.
Oh, that would be nice, the regurgitation thing. That you know, I can equate with that, because sometimes, you know, regurgitation can be seen as critical thinking, but it isn't. You know, you have to define critical thinking. Okay, now you're critically thinking, whereas before you just tossing out something that you parrot everything. That's what you're doing. Okay, so I can understand that, but I'd like to have a little seminar on it. That'd be great. Anyway, my last question, it's a little more nuts and boltsy, more along my line of things that I can equate to a little bit better. The budgeting and resources, the budget thing, okay? Is this future-ready thing, are you able to isolate? Okay, because of future-ready, we're able to isolate on a budgetary standpoint. These are the extra dollars it's costing us. Suppose if we weren't doing future-ready, then these dollars wouldn't be spent. Are you able to isolate the cost of future-ready on a budgetary standpoint?
So Future Ready is free, which is good. It's really a systems, it's a mindset of how do we look at a comprehensive approach to our budgetary matters or resources. So again, I think it doesn't cost us anything to be part of Future Ready, but it's really shifting our mindset. So I think we'll be able to, looking at our academic return on investment with Pauline, looking at our return on investment on how much are we spending on textbook replacements, how much are we spending on paper, how much are we spending on printers, how much are we spending on X, Y, and Z. So again, this isn't only about technology, but it's really a systems approach of what's working in our budget and not. So I'm really confident that we'll be able to see where our savings are with this approach. Again, I think it's, I'll use a concrete example. When we started looking at our return on investment in our budget, we looked at our school buses.